Hello and welcome to ETI. My name is Amelia Glynn and I'm a business advisor working at the Ethical Trading Initiative. Today I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about ETI, the Ethical Trading Initiative, and hopefully talking to you about why you might be interested in becoming a corporate member. So, what is ethical trade? Well, ethical trade is about ensuring that companies uphold the rights of all workers in their supply chains. These could be workers that are working in fashion factories, maybe sewing your clothes. They could be workers that are in your supply chains picking strawberries in fields in Kent. They could be workers that are delivering your clothes from your holding offices to customers. They could also be workers that are directly employed by your organisation. So at ETI, we believe that all workers should enjoy some basic rights, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. So, ETI. The Ethical Trading Initiative is a unique organisation. We're a tripartite membership organisation. So we have company members, we have NGO members, and trade union members. And we were founded in 1998, and we are a leading organisation working in ethical trade. So we have a vision where we believe that we want workers to be able to live in a world that is free from exploitation and free from discrimination. And what we do in our organisation is we bring together these three different types of companies, trade unions and NGOs, and together we try to work to fulfil that vision. So the ETI have developed an internationally recognised code of labour, which is called the ETI base code. So any of our corporate members must commit to implementing this base code throughout their supply chain. And this commitment must be something that is supported not only by the ethical trade teams that are maybe working on this and the people that are directly involved with buying products, working with the supply chain, but also throughout the organisation and at the very top level of seniority. So the ETI base code, if we go into a little bit more detail here, we can see that there are 9 different elements, and each of these elements are equally as important as the other. So you can see that we have, number 1, employment must be freely chosen by the workers. So there can't be any element of slavery, any enforcement. Freedom of association and the right to collective bargaining. So trade unions should be respected in your supply chains and workers should have the right to collectively bargain. Safe and hygienic working conditions. Something which most companies are trying to implement, but something that equally needs to be respected along with the other 9 elements of the base code. Fundamentally, no child labour, in line with the ILO recommendations. Living wages should be paid. So this isn't just a minimum wage as in alignment with the local law, but also to make sure that workers can actually afford to have a basic needs met and discretionary income. Working hours should not be excessive. This is something that in various parts of the world and in particular industries and regions is something that's a bit more difficult to implement sometimes, but something that we should be working towards. No discrimination should be tolerated to any workers in any part of the supply chain. No inhumane treatment, no harassment. And also regular employment should be provided to the workers. So what is the case for ethical trade? Well, today, believe it or not, we have over 21 million people who are currently enslaved. We also have over 168 million children who are also working in child labour conditions, and over half of these are actually in hazardous working conditions. So it's a very serious situation that we find ourselves in. And today we have a very evolving type of dynamic and casual labour, which is developing more and more so. And this is something else that in line with also increasing global migration and the displacement of people due to different kind of war zones or political issues arising, it creates a very unhealthy mix which can really put workers in danger. So you may find that you've already noticed that there is actually a growing pressure on companies to begin to work in ethical trade, be more responsible and ethical in the way that they're sourcing and the way that they're working. So, for instance, there are some legal requirements that have come in recently. So in 2015, you may have noticed that the Modern Slavery Act came in. This requires that every organisation who has a turnover of over 36 million has to report every year on what they're doing to prevent, mitigate and remedy modern slavery in their supply chains. We have other initiatives like the Corporate Human Rights Benchmark, which are also encouraging companies to forward with this work and allowing them to actually measure how well they're doing in these different areas. And you'll have seen that we have an array of different media outlets pressuring companies and exposing different elements of the supply chain where there are particular risks at the moment. So you can see that there's a lot of growing pressure. We also have a lot of NGOs and other corporations and organizations that are kind of increasing this mounting pressure on corporates to do the right thing and to try to trade more ethically. So there are lots of positives of ethical trade. It is fundamentally good for your organization. So for example, there are the obvious reputational benefits. If you can say that your company is trading ethically and you are being responsible in how you're managing your supply chain, then you're able to have a customer base that knows that and they trust that and they can become more loyal to you. It also increases your ability to actually know what's going on in your supply chain. Something that we always begin with at ETI is trying to know what you don't know. There tends to be a lot in that area. And if you can start to kind of identify and manage these risks, then you will be able to hopefully prevent a lot of these issues from actually arising and be prepared when they do inevitably happen in your supply chains. And also, fundamentally, if you treat your workers better, they're more likely to stay. They're going to stay working for you. Happier workers work a lot better and they don't leave, and that saves you a lot of money in different recruitment costs. So it's good for your supply chain as well. Ethical trade. You are more likely to have much longer term relationships with your suppliers, more stable partnership-like arrangements. And it also massively reduces the likelihood of having any industrial unrest and strikes that we so often seeing at the moment in very key sourcing countries such as China. So at ETI, we have a very particular approach to ethical trade. We don't expect companies that join ETI to arrive to us perfect. We don't expect you to overnight understand how to resolve all of these issues and fix your supply chains. We are very much about continuous improvement. We're here to support our companies, to help to develop them so that we can see, as you're a member, this continuous improvement from the day you join at entry level, growing through the different levels, and hopefully we can support you to develop all the way to becoming leaders in ethical trade. So we have a variety of different ways that we can support you to actually do this. I'm going to talk you through some of these now, but these include things like expert advice, we have training, we have a whole array of different members in our organisation who can help to support you to get to where you want to be in ethical trade. So for instance, we have a large secretariat who are based not only in the UK but also in different countries around the world in key sourcing regions, who are there to be able to provide you with one-to-one support and advice. And to also, we run programs which are completely tailored to our membership supply base, and we're able to support you work on these very key areas that are very difficult to do without the support. We have a training department and we're able to supply discounted training for all of our members, and not only our members but also our suppliers. So for instance, if you have suppliers that are based in China, we run specific trainings there to do with, say, social insurance. But we have an array of training that really starts from the basics and works its way up into more specific issues. So for instance, when you begin your journey with ETI, you can start by doing a training course on the essentials of ethical trade to really get that basic level of understanding up. And then as you kind of develop through your journey and through your understanding, then you might want to take on more difficult issues, such as human rights due diligence. So there's a lot of different ways that we can support you to do this, including modern slavery, so that you can meet your modern slavery requirements. So one of the key great things about joining the ETI is that you immediately come and you become part of this whole network of members. So we have a really diverse membership network. We have people from very large supermarkets like Tesco's and Sainsbury's. We have lots of medium apparel-sized brands, so for instance the New Looks, the River Islands of the world. And we also have a lot of much smaller companies, so we have food and flowers suppliers like Green Cell and Finley's. We have even some stone suppliers as well, natural paving, hardscape. We have some packaging suppliers. We have a really broad diversity. So we hope that within our network of members, you'll be able to find some peers. And it's that peer learning and sharing that is really where you can get the value out of ETI membership. And also, of course, we have our NGOs and trade unions. So they're there to also support you. And together, when we work together and collaboratively, we are much more able to solve these big issues. So with ETI, there comes an obvious reputational benefit. As I said earlier, that if you can show that you're working in ethical trade and you're working as a responsible organisation, that's going to reap benefits in your supply chain and in your customer base. But also, if issues do occur in your supply chain, which they inevitably will do when you're a member of ETI, we're there to support you with expert advice on remediation and how you can sort these issues out. And we're also there to support you on managing your communications in times of crisis like that. So, staying on top of the agenda, ETI has a lot of research. We collect information from our companies from around the world, and we make sure that we are constantly issuing new guidance pieces and briefings. We're alerting our members to what is going on currently in the world of ethical trade. We also keep you regularly updated with what's going on in the media so that we can be aware of new issues as they arise. And these can help you to make sure that you're preventing and mitigating the types of issues that might be coming up, and you're on the front foot and you know what's going on in the world of ethical trade. We have a whole host of collaborative programs, as I said, which are specifically designed to help our members where they need to be helped. So these are in-country programs that work in a tripartite manner and ensure that we can make sure that we're supporting you on the ground in those ways. So what do we expect from our members? Well, the first and foremost thing that we expect is a clear commitment to implement the ETI base code throughout your supply chains. So we want to see that from all of our members at ETI. We also want members to be able to demonstrate this commitment to us, demonstrate that they're implementing the ETI base code throughout their supply chains with all of their workers. And we ask you to show us this every year when you report to us at ETI. Also at ETI, we ask for an annual membership fee, and this is based on your turnover figure. So if you're a larger company, you'll pay a higher fee than a company that has a much smaller turnover figure. And you can find out more about that on our website. But the key thing that we want from our members is to see that you are continually improving in ethical trade. And this doesn't have to be fast progress, as I said before. We can't fix things overnight. But ETI are here to support you on that journey and to make sure that we can see that step by step you are improving and progressing, and the workers in your supply chains are benefiting from that change. So hopefully this has given you a short taste of what it is to be an ETI corporate member. And if you'd like to find out more, please do have a look at our website, which is www.ethicaltrade.org. And I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you very much.